Good afternoon. Can everybody hear? Thank you very much for coming. We want to especially thank the Patriot Guard, who's traveled with us on many events. They're here for probably the most spectacular event. Can you hear? There needs to be up a little bit. He might killed himself there. You're going to see something today that very few people see live. The fact that this bell probably someday will be as famous as the Liberty Bell, probably more so. But what you're going to see today is something that very seldom is open to the public. So the honor bell people have made a special event today. We've worked 3 years to put this together. So it's a very exciting event for everybody here, especially Pat and see, we got the name right, Nancy, whose husband has served and many people have served. And I see Candace is here, our employee whose mother started here. She also served in the Navy. So when she got out, she had to come here. So we thank everybody to be here. Bob's here. Many Verdins are scattered throughout here. So this is an important day for us. We better take anybody have any questions as we go, let us know. Post the colors.
Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce Lou Oliveira, the Executive Director of the Honor Bell Foundation.
Thanks, Tim. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here on this historic and really an incredible day for us here at the Foundation. Our nation has always been fortunate. Through the decades, our fellow citizens have defended our communities as members of the armed forces. On land, at sea, and in the air, many have given much to maintain the American ideal. There is no better way to sound a tribute to these veterans than by tolling a bell. Throughout history, bells have tolled to focus a community's attention. An honor bell rings in remembrance, its dignity complementing the tradition of military rights, its beauty offering a note of solemn reverence. Before you are artifacts in a wooden case. These artifacts left Denver, Colorado on Saturday. They were escorted throughout our country by veteran support motorcycle groups, including the Patriot Guard Riders and Rolling Thunder, some of them standing behind me. At each state line, we performed a dignified transfer from one group to another group, and today the artifacts reach the end of their journey, and in just a few minutes, we will begin adding these artifacts to the molten bronze as we cast an historic bell, the honor bell, making this magnificent instrument truly forged from honor. Sergeant of the Guard, uncase the artifacts. Sealed within this case before you are military artifacts from 12 deceased veterans. These artifacts represent service in every major armed conflict for the past 75 years. This case includes artifacts from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the war in Iraq, and the war still being raged in Afghanistan. Also included in this case are artifacts from veterans of all 5 armed services: the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. And finally, included in this case are artifacts from enlisted ranks ranging from private to chief master sergeant and officers. I would like to now read the names, the ranks, and the branch of service for all of the distinguished veterans whose artifacts are represented here.
Chief Warrant Officer Robert R. Abbott, Jr., U.S. Coast Guard. He's presenting a dog tag and belt buckle. Lieutenant Charles E. Adams, U.S. Army Air Corps, Aviator Wings. Private Second Class David L. Bucknam, U.S. Army Reserve, Sharpshooter Badge. Master Chief Petty Officer Julian R. Draken, U.S. Navy Commendation Medal. Staff Sergeant Christopher M. Falcon, U.S. Army Combat Infantryman's Badge and Special Forces Crest. Chief Master Sergeant Robert E. Hawkins, U.S. Army Air Corps and U.S. Air Force, American Campaign Medal World War II, Korean Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and cufflinks. Lance Corporal Chance Lance Corporal Chance Chief Master Sergeant Kenneth C. Melcher, U.S. Air Force, dress uniform buttons. Lance Corporal Chance R. Phelps, U.S. Marine Corps emblem, rifle, expert badge, Lance Corporal insignia. Private George T. Sakato, U.S. Army Medal of Honor recipient, Medal of Honor commemorative coin. Staff Sergeant John F. Tolth, U.S. Army, Distinguished Correction. Tech Sergeant Martin Tenney, U.S. Army, Purple Heart Medal. Staff Sergeant John F. Tolth, U.S. Army, Distinctive Unit Insignia and Insignia Hat Pin. Chief Petty Officer James C. Wickham, Jr., U.S. Coast Guard, insignia hat pin.
I would now like to turn it over to Tim Verdin, who will talk you through how this bell will be forged.
Thank you, Lou. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the metal over to, we're going to cast some smaller pieces first, which will just take a few minutes, and then we're going to cast the honor bell. What Ralph will do first is we have to make sure the longer the metal sits in the ladle in the molten state, it begins to oxidize on top, which creates dross, basically dirt, a crusty film on top of the metal. So Ralph will make sure that it's all pushed back so that we can get to the good metal. And then what he'll do is start pouring some of these smaller pieces. You can see that he works kind of quickly. The metal loses heat very rapidly once we take it out of the furnace. So the ladle that he's dipping from is lined with about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of refractory cement. And that concrete wants to suck the heat out of the metal very quickly. So the longer it's in a molten state, the more heat it loses. So they've poured the smaller molds. Now they're going to pour a couple of molds that are just a little larger. He's going to push that dross back again just to make sure it doesn't go into the molds. The good thing about molten metal is it's very dense, so any contaminants in the metal, if there was any dirt or anything that gets in it, it all floats to the top. So you can see how when he begins to pour, there's kind of fire that comes up from the mold. That's the resins and the binders burning off of the sand mold. So while he's pouring that last mold, we're going to take the temperature again. We're very particular about what temperature we pour our bells. The smaller pieces that he's pouring right now we're not so concerned with. The metal temperature is not all that important, but for the bell it's very important. So they'll constantly monitor the temperature of that metal. All right. All right, so they're going to move over, and we're going to pour the honor bell. When they first start to pour, what you'll notice is that they start off pouring kind of slow. The reason for that is there's what we call a heel down inside the pour basin, and what we want to do is create a puddle, a small molten puddle inside the mold, so that when we start to pour faster, the metal doesn't splash. You can also look on the digital readout above the ladle. It's reading real close to 1,300 pounds. That's the weight of the metal inside the ladle. So we know approximately how much it's going to take to pour the bell. So we just have to make sure that we've loaded enough metal into the ladle, because once we start pouring, we can't stop. Go back and get more metal. So Ralph's doing the final kind of skimming, and then he's going to start pouring the bell. Now when he starts to pour, what you'll see is we've got actually vent holes in top of the mold, and those vents are just for that. It's to vent the mold of any gases or anything that's starting to burn off inside the mold. So you see how Ralph kind of started off kind of slow. Now he's going to begin to dump faster. And the idea is to pour the metal out of the ladle at the same volume that the mold is feeding. So there you can see the smoke, some of the gases that are starting to burn off from inside the mold. And typically just before the mold is filled, we'll see some fire come out of those holes. So he'll just keep pouring, and those gases will keep burning off. You can watch the digital readout continue to go down as the mold starts to get filled. So we're probably getting pretty close now. Yep, there's the fire. That means we're about full. He'll make sure that pour basin is absolutely full, because as the metal starts to solidify, it shrinks. So we want the mold to continue to feed. And that's it. It looks like we have a successful pour. Great job, guys. I'd just like to take a quick opportunity to thank the Honor Bell Foundation. This has been a remarkable project to be a part of, and we're going to be very proud of the bell, I know, and just like you guys are. So, Lou, I know you had a couple of things. Thank you.
Just have a couple closing remarks for everyone. So today is the culmination of nearly 3 years of work by the Honor Bell Foundation. My team and I have worked really tirelessly and with great passion to get to this moment today. We have had the incredible partnership along the way of the Verdin Company. Jim and Tim have been generous in their support and just incredible in all their efforts to help us. Suzanne has helped us so much. Bob Santoro, who isn't here today, really couldn't have made this happen without him. We also would not be here today without the generous support of the Daniels Fund of Denver, Colorado. And of course, the families of those who donated the artifacts are really such special people and have become really a part of our family. We are grateful for the service of their veterans and their generosity in sharing their loved ones with us. Nancy Abbott, We are so touched that you're here with us today. Nancy is the wife of Chief Warrant Officer Robert Abbott and donated an artifact of his. Also, our own Director of Marketing, Alan Bucknam, whose father, David, has an artifact in the bell as well. I also want to thank the Patriot Guard Riders and all the Patriot motorcycle groups throughout the country who helped us get the bell here. And of course, that includes Rolling Thunder. In closing, I need to thank the entire Honor Bell team. Our Bell Honor Guard, all of which are veterans, and they volunteer their time, and they will provide the dignified ceremonies which are, of course, due to every veteran who is laid to rest. The strength of our foundation and our mission is in the hands of our staff, and it is my honor to work with all of you. Please follow our progress on the website, honorbell.org, and you can also find us on Facebook. Again, I just want to thank Jim, Tim, and all the Verdin employees for such a wonderful job. Thank you so much.